At 62, David Moyes has finally opened up on the allegations that have followed him throughout his career, with the most damaging being his shocking comments to BBC reporter Vicky Sparks in 2017. After a post-match interview, Moyes told Sparks, "It was getting a wee bit naughty at the end there, so just watch yourself. You still might get a slap, even though you're a woman." This moment would permanently stain his reputation and reveal a troubling side to the Scottish manager that many had suspected existed beneath his serious exterior. Moyes has carved out a long career in football management, but it's one marked by embarrassing failures, controversies, and a stubborn tactical approach that has often frustrated fans. His journey shows a man who has repeatedly fallen short of expectations while creating problems for himself along the way. The Vicky Sparks incident brought Moyes under intense public scrutiny. Following Sunderland's goalless draw with Burnley in March 2017, he made those threatening remarks to Sparks after she asked about the pressure he might be under due to the presence of Sunderland's owner. While both were seen laughing during the exchange and Sparks didn't file a complaint, the comments ignited massive controversy once they became public. Moyes quickly claimed he deeply regretted his words, blaming the heat of the moment. He insisted this behaviour was certainly not the person I am, and said Sparks had accepted his apology. But his excuses grew less convincing when he later blamed his comments on suffering from hay fever, showing a failure to truly understand the seriousness of his actions. The media and football community strongly condemned Moyes. Shadow Sports Minister Dr. Rosanna Allen-Khan called the comments disgraceful and sexist threats, while Gary Lineker suggested the incident highlighted how some managers treat interviewers with utter disdain. Women in football expressed deep disappointment, emphasising that no one should feel threatened in the workplace for simply doing their job. The Football Association launched an investigation and eventually ruled Moyes' comments were entirely inappropriate and wholly unacceptable, regardless of whether they were meant as humour. In June 2017, they fined him £30,000. The FA Commission, chaired by barrister Craig Moore, concluded that Moyes was at least irritated by what he perceived as a rude question and intended to warn Sparks she had crossed a line. While they acknowledged he likely wouldn't carry out the threat, they found his implication that Sparks had been marked was unacceptable. This episode underscored the ongoing challenges of sexism within football and the precarious position of female journalists in a male-dominated environment. Moyes' initial regret, followed by less credible excuses, showed his failure to grasp the gravity and impact of his words. But this incident was just one chapter in Moyes' problematic career. His time at Manchester United stands as perhaps his most high-profile failure. In 2013, he was entrusted with the massive task of succeeding Sir Alex Ferguson, handpicked by the legendary manager himself. The appointment came with enormous pressure and expectations. The 2013 to 2014 season proved disastrous for both Moyes and United. The team dropped significantly in league performance, finishing a shocking 7th place and failing to qualify for European competition. Their home form was particularly poor, with the team suffering an unusual number of defeats at Old Trafford. Early exits from both the FA Cup and League Cup further disappointed fans, though they did reach the quarter-finals of the Champions League. Moyes' transfer activity at United was widely criticised. He signed Marouane Fellaini from his former club Everton and brought in Juan Mata from Chelsea in January, but failed to secure other key targets like Cesc Fabregas and Gareth Bale. Reports emerged of player morale issues and a tense atmosphere in the dressing room, with suggestions of unrest among senior players, including Robin van Persie and Rio Ferdinand. Some accounts claimed Moyes had lost the dressing room due to his training methods and handling of certain players. Ferguson reportedly advised Moyes to keep the existing backroom staff, but this advice was ignored. Moyes' post-match interviews were sometimes seen as negative and out of touch with reality, further damaging team morale. He was finally sacked in April 2014 and lost faith from both players and fans. Critics pointed to his negative, reactive tactical approach and failure to strengthen the squad properly. After his United failure, Moyes tried to rebuild his career at Spanish club Real Sociedad in November 2014. This move presented new cultural and footballing challenges challenges. He faced a significant language barrier which hindered his communication with players and staff. Adapting to Spanish football culture and the prevalent playing style also proved difficult. The structure of player recruitment in Spain, often involving a director of football, was different from his previous experiences. Reports suggested Moyes attempted to implement a more direct, British style of play at a club known for a more intricate, possession-based approach. His results were mixed at best. Though he secured a notable 1-0 victory over Barcelona, his overall record during his time at the club was poor. 12 wins, 15 draws, and 15 losses in 42 matches. In his first season, the team finished at 12th in La Liga. The start to his second season was disappointing, with Real Sociedad languishing near the relegation zone. Moyes struggled to attract Premier League players to Real Sociedad, mainly due to significant wage differences. A 2-0 defeat to struggling Las Palmas was widely seen as the final straw. Critics pointed to his uninspiring and overly cautious tactical approach, and his apparent lack of effort to learn Spanish was particularly noted as a sign of his failure to integrate. In July 2016, Moyes returned to the Premier League as manager of Sunderland. His tenure there proved deeply challenging and ultimately unsuccessful. During the 2016 to 2017 season, Sunderland struggled badly and were relegated from the Premier League, finishing bottom of the table with only 24 points. The team performed poorly, both at home and away, and suffered early exits from cup competitions. They became heavily reliant on veteran striker Jermaine Defoe for goals. Moyes' transfer activity at Sunderland was widely criticised. Many of his signings failed to make a positive impact on the team. He brought in several players he had previously worked with at Everton and Manchester United, but the club's record signing, Didier Ndong, failed to live up to expectations. A significant number of players signed by Moyes left the club relatively quickly. Several factors contributed to Sunderland's relegation under Moyes. The poor transfer business left the squad lacking quality and depth. The team also suffered from widespread injury problems to key players throughout the season. The over-reliance on Jermaine Defoe for goals meant that when he wasn't scoring, the team struggled to find the net. Sunderland's home form was particularly poor. Notably, Moyes himself made negative comments early in the season, admitting he expected the team would be in a relegation battle. These pessimistic statements likely damaged the morale of both players and supporters from the very beginning. Moyes resigned as Sunderland manager in May 2017, following the club's relegation. He later admitted he had made a poor choice in the club he chose to manage and that he hadn't done enough research before taking the job. In a rare gesture of integrity, Moyes left without seeking compensation. Eventually, Moyes found some redemption at West Ham United, where he had 2 spells between 2017 and 2024. While he achieved relative success, including European qualification and winning the UEFA Europa Conference League in 2023, fan reactions to his tactics remained divided. While there was appreciation for his results, many supporters expressed frustration with his cautious and pragmatic approach, which earned the derisive label of Moyes ball. Some fans felt the team's attacking potential wasn't fully exploited due to his perceived overly defensive mindset, despite having talented attacking players in the squad. The debate around West Ham's style under Moyes centred on the balance between defensive solidity and attacking ambition. Analysis suggested he implemented a deliberate counter-attacking strategy, but some players reportedly expressed concerns about the overly cautious tactics, particularly in attacking phases. Along with his managerial struggles, a notable case involved his former player, Wayne Rooney, following the publication of Rooney's autobiography in 2006. In the book, Rooney claimed Moyes had leaked details of a private conversation regarding Rooney's intention to leave Everton. Rooney also accused Moyes of being overbearing and controlling, and suggested Moyes was responsible for his transfer to Manchester United. Moyes strongly denied these allegations, calling them wholly untrue and damaging to his reputation. He sued Rooney, the book's co-author, Hunter Davies, and the publishers HarperCollins for libel. The case was settled out of court, with Rooney and his publishers withdrawing the allegations, issuing a public apology, and paying Moyes a substantial sum in damages plus legal costs. Moyes donated the damages to the Everton Former Players Foundation. Years later, Rooney expressed regret over the incident and personally apologised to Moyes. Ironically, The two later worked together when Moyes became manager of Manchester United. Despite numerous second chances, David Moyes' career remains defined by controversy, tactical stubbornness, and significant failures at the highest level. The Vicky Sparks incident revealed troubling attitudes that many believe reflect his true character, while his managerial record shows a man who often failed to adapt to changing circumstances or meet the expectations placed upon him. Though he has shown resilience by continuing to find work at top clubs, the lasting image of Moyes is of a manager who consistently fell short of greatness and whose personal conduct raised serious questions about his suitability for leadership positions in modern football. While he achieved some success, particularly in his later years at West Ham, these accomplishments remain overshadowed by the controversies and failures that have marked his troubled career.